Today we're talking about the meaning of a Christian marriage and the original sin. There is a serious relationship, critical relationship between Christian marriage and original sin. God said God's intention of marriage in Genesis chapter 2, 23 and 24. God says the man leaves his father and mother. So first thing is the living, separation from parents, psychologically, emotionally, economically, geologically, psychologically, socially. Social separation should be made before they married. Men and women must be independent from parents' bonding, especially emotionally and psychologically. So first thing is that they are living must happen. Second is united. United meaning is the commitment. Without the commitment, united cannot be solid. So many times the united lasts 23 years by hormone, but sometimes they committed by will, then it's just a lifelong commitment. So second is united. Then they become one flesh. They become one flesh physically, mentally, psychologically. One flesh meaning it's that they got their children, usually visual ways that they got their children, but inside invisibly they're mentally and psychologically they just binding one. So three things must happen. They lived, separation, united, and one body. Then third one, Adam and his wife were both naked and they felt no shame. Naked and no shame. Between husband and wife's relationship, there must be fair relationship, meaning that that naked relationship, they do not hide anything else and they do not feel shame because they accept each other as their own just nature, that time, own being, things like that. So God's love, God wants to be love, intimacy, our love must tied with separation and united, then one body. Love, intimacy come when young people or older people, whoever, they just loved in the first sight and they loved each other. So intimacy come, but this intimacy goes 2 and 3 years or 4 and 5 years. After that, this love, intimacy is not lasted much. But this intimacy united with the separation and united with the commitment, united one body, and they become their honest relationship. They naked, they felt no shame, there is no secret, and they share everything. Then their relationship, intimacy goes along. Outside is a God's protection, people's prayer. That is the God's original meaning of a Christian life must be separated, united with the commitment and the one body, and they make the perfect, naked, no shame relationship. That's God's intention, God's plan of a marriage. But this marriage is distorted because when sin comes. So men must work hard. They all died spiritually, physically. They died. Besides that, woman, men just received the working hard because granted cost because for him and the painful toil and he get the food to eat on. And the woman's sin, woman's punishment is pain, childbearing, then labor and she just take care of the home by husband. She deserves her husband, and the husband will rule over her. That's the punishment of God. Decided this and God promised about the promise of saviors come salvation also. But human being received these two kinds of sin. This two kinds of punishment will influence the marriage very seriously. The marriage relationship is distorted. Between them, God wants the equal relationship, just the perfect harmony relationship. Men and women created differently and equally, and they both worship God. But right now, woman's relationship is distorted. The woman deserves her husband and gives her love to him instead of God. Many people talking about woman's punishment for childbearing and labor. Yes, that is a very hard one, serious one. Many people died in long time ago. Right now, medical helps the woman make a safe delivery, but still woman deserves, that deserves meaning is the deep relationship, like this kind of intimacy relationship. Woman desires it, but woman should give that desired relationship to God, but woman gives that relationship to her husband. Your desire will be for your husband. She should not give her desire, deep desire to husband. She should give her deep desire to God, but although it's distorted because of sin, the man still work hard. The woman, pregnancy, childbearing, but desire husband. She longing for love, so woman longing for love, man longing for praise. So if a marriage happened with God and the husband and wife is here, if there is no God, the husband and wife is there because woman desires a husband, longing for husband, and the man needed to work. This kind of relationship cannot make the big deep, mature relationship. If they have a people, man, woman marriage, they have both God, woman have God, and the man have God. Then woman, whenever husband, because she, even though she gives her deep desires to husband, if she knows the courage, then she knows that God meets her desires, then if she know about the husband cannot meet her desire, then she go to God and talk to God, and God talk to him. Sometimes she go to God and talk to him, but God talk to her back immediately instead of God just delivered her message to God and the man changes it. So between they got this kind of relationship, triangle relationship, they got a communication. But if man and woman do not have God and they just connect directly, then that relationship broken so easily. When intimacy by hormone is gone, they do not make a communication much. Then how we can fix this kind of relationship, which Corinthians says about that, how we can overcome the sin. Corinthians says that God is faithful. He does not allow to tempt us. He does not allow us to be tempted beyond our ability. So God provides a way so we can enjoy it and escape the temptation. Then what's the difference between the avoidable temptation and the unavoidable temptation? The line is the same situation, but one time wife or man said, "Oh, I cannot go on. I cannot, because it's beyond my ability. I want to give up." But another time they said, "Oh, it's hard, but I can go through." What's the difference of that? There is the ego, selfish died the day a children comes up, then unavoidable temptation become avoidable temptation. Because once selfish died, then man gives the woman's need of love, and the woman can give the man's word of praise, submission. So when people, Paul says the wife must submit to your husband, and the husband must lead your wife and love her. Paul said that, but many people misunderstand the submission and leading. This submission is not meaning obey. This submission is the man needs to work hard, so woman gives the praise. Submission goes with the praise word, because man needs to boost egos to work hard. Without the ego, man cannot work hard. Many times women destroy the man's husband's ego because when her need is not met. So many times women frustrated and they just break down husband's ego easily, then marriage cannot survive. But if woman, once she dies, so her ego and selfishness is gone, so woman, because died, then once died, what things she cannot say again. So she said that she gives praise, even though she does not believe it, even though she does not really understand it, but she just gives praise because her ego died, and God said submit it and give it praise to boost his ego to work hard. So woman able to give submission and praise to husband. So then husband is the same thing. Even though wife is not lovable anymore, her body changes, her personality changes, and the economic situation is very difficult. So man is exhausted, but man is able to say loving words, caring words to her, because his ego, selfishness died, then altruism comes. So God puts man's need in woman's heart and woman's need in man's heart. This seed is not really wake up, terminated until self or ego, selfishness or ego died. Once selfishness, ego died, then God put woman's need in man's heart, man's need in woman's heart. That seed wake up and start to grow up. So post teaching of submission and misleading is different meaning. Submission is not obey. Submission meaning is give praise to husband's ego to work hard, and the leading meaning that give love to her desirable love so she can survive. Without the love, a wife cannot survive. Paul teaches the submission reading in more different ways that we understand. Then Peter says, treat them with respect because they are weaker. Treat them with respect. Meaning is that treat wife with knowledge because man and woman is different, their body is different, their mindset is different, psychologically different, their brain is different. That kind of man and woman's differences, and they should know about the family background, different family background, different temperament. When they love each other, intimacy come. This difference is not really big issues, but when reality comes, these differences is become big issue. Was not issued before, but become big issue when hormone is gone. The real commitment needed to be, companionship needed to be. Then that time they really know about the knowledge about man and woman and marriage stages also. So Paul teaches submission. Submission is a pleasure to man's ego. Leading meaning is the love of wife. Gives her desires of be loved and taken care of and protected. Then with Paul's teaching and Peter's teaching about respect, with the knowledge, then the original sin, God's sin, this one can be overcome by God's way. Then after that, they can make the marriage again. The intimacy must binding is separation, commitment in the one body, then original meaning of God's image. Many times people got a marriage because they saw the many Hollywood movie or novel, but that's not what God's intention of marriage. God do not call it for happiness. God called it for holiness, sacredness. Unless they know the God's plan about our sin, relationship of our original sin, and how to overcome the meaning of the teaching about submission and reading and respect them, love with knowledge, they cannot really overcome the many marriage problem. Many women that when they're young, they love the husband, and when time passes out, they realize the man cannot meet, husband cannot meet all of her desires. That man also realize that he cannot because he's just a human being. Both of them realize that they are just a human being, and their relationship must depend on God instead of a man. Husband and wife relationship cannot go wrong, but the husband's relationship must go with God and God. Man's husband's, their wife's relationship find with God. So three of them, man, woman, God, three triangle, they make it, then the relationship lasts long. Thank you for listening.